Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are rolling the dice again, and this time it's on a name that once carried the promise of greatness. Trayon Burks, a former first-round pick who spent most of his short NFL career battling inconsistency, injuries, and high expectations, is getting another shot at redemption in the nation's capital. For the Commanders, this is more than just a roster move. It's an attempt to patch up a gaping wound left by what's quickly turning into a disastrous offseason. What began as a campaign of optimism, with a new offensive direction and a supposedly deeper wide receiver room, has spiraled into a mix of injuries, frustrations, and desperate adjustments. Now, they're hoping Burks can be the unexpected savior of a team that's starting to feel the weight of its own decisions. When the Commanders signed Noah Brown in the offseason, they envisioned him as a steady WR3, a physical, dependable option who could stretch the field and relieve some pressure off Jayden Daniels' young arm. But like so many plans in the NFL, that one unraveled fast. Brown didn't even get through the first month of the season before hitting injured reserve. And with no clear timetable for his return, Washington's receiver depth chart suddenly looks like a sinking ship. The injuries didn't stop there. Jayden Daniels, the team's dynamic rookie quarterback, has already missed games, and Terry McLaurin, the heart and soul of the offense, has been sidelined multiple times as well. You can't predict injuries, sure, but when the same problems keep showing up, it starts to feel less like bad luck and more like bad planning. That's where Burks enters the picture. The Commanders hosted him on Wednesday, and by the end of the day, the deal was done. According to NFL insider Ian Rappaport, Washington is adding Burks to the practice squad with the intention of elevating him to the active roster soon, very soon. They don't have much choice, honestly. With McLaurin and Brown down, and Deebo Samuel dealing with nagging injuries too, Washington is running out of reliable bodies at the position. They're down to a handful of developing players like Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane, who've shown flashes but are still raw. And as the schedule tightens, with a brutal stretch of divisional matchups on the horizon, relying on untested names could be a recipe for more heartbreak. The question now is simple but heavy. Can Trayon Burks be that guy? Can he finally become the player everyone thought he'd be when the Tennessee Titans spent the 18th overall pick on him just a few years ago? The raw talent has always been there. Burks is a physical specimen at 6'2" and 225 pounds, the kind of receiver who can win jump balls, break tackles, and bully smaller defensive backs. His college tape from Arkansas was filled with highlights that made scouts drool: contested catches, yards after contact, and the kind of versatility that made him look like a younger, rawer version of A.J. Brown. Ironically, the Titans drafted Burks to replace A.J. Brown after trading him to Philadelphia, a move that haunted them almost instantly as Brown became one of the best receivers in football while Burks struggled to stay on the field. In Tennessee, things just never clicked. The Titans' offense was a mess, their quarterback situation unstable, and the play calling uninspired. Burks flashed potential in moments, a big play here, a strong run after catch there, but the consistency wasn't there. He battled through injuries, from turf toe to concussions to knee issues, and every time he seemed ready to take a step forward, his body betrayed him. Eventually, the Titans' patience ran out. In the harsh world of the NFL, it doesn't take long for a first-round pick to become an afterthought, and that's exactly what happened to Burks. But in Washington, the situation might be different. Jayden Daniels is a young quarterback who thrives on timing, creativity, and giving his playmakers a chance to do something special after the catch. He's not the kind of passer who forces his receivers to run robotic routes. He improvises, he extends plays, he trusts his guys. And that might be exactly what Burks needs. In Tennessee, the offense was rigid and conservative. In Washington, the coaching staff under offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has shown a willingness to adapt, to move pieces around, to experiment with motion and mismatches. If Burks can buy in, stay healthy, and rediscover his confidence, this could be the perfect place for him to reset his career. Of course, there's no denying the risk. Burks has struggled to stay on the field just as much as Noah Brown has, and if injuries follow him to D.C., this could easily become another short-lived experiment. But for a team in desperate need of depth and upside, the risk is minimal. The Commanders aren't giving up draft capital, they aren't paying him big money, and they're filling a spot that would otherwise be occupied by a practice squad receiver with no real ceiling. In the grand scheme, it's a low-risk, high-reward swing, the kind of move that teams with playoff hopes and injury problems have to make. The Commanders' offense has been a roller coaster this season. When Daniels is on the field, the potential is undeniable. His chemistry with McLaurin has been electric when both are healthy, and his ability to extend plays has turned busted downs into highlight reels. But the inconsistency has been painful. Between protection issues, drops, and constant shuffling at receiver, it's been hard to establish rhythm. Luke McCaffrey has been one of the few bright spots. His route running and intelligence have made him a favorite target in short yardage situations, but he's still developing. Jalen Lane has shown speed, but he's raw, and defenses are catching on. That's where Burks' physicality could change things. If he can step in and draw coverage, even just as a big-bodied threat on the outside, it could open things up for everyone else. The Commanders know they've made mistakes. They entered this season believing their receiver room was deep and versatile enough to handle the grind of a long year. They believed Noah Brown's experience would balance out McCaffrey's youth and Lane's inexperience. They believed McLaurin could stay healthy through it all. But the NFL doesn't care about plans. It tests depth, resilience, and adaptability, and so far, Washington has been tested in every possible way. That's what makes the Burks signing more than just a footnote. It's a statement that the front office isn't giving up on this season, no matter how chaotic things have gotten. And let's not ignore the emotional angle. For Burks, this is redemption. A new team, a new city, a fresh start. He's only 25 years old, which is still young enough to rewrite his narrative. Plenty of players have done it before. Think of guys like Devontae Parker or Nelson Agholor, who went from being labeled busts to carving out meaningful careers after changing scenery. Sometimes all it takes is the right environment, the right quarterback, and the right coach. Maybe Washington can be that for Burks. Maybe Jaden Daniels can be the quarterback who finally unlocks what Tennessee couldn't. But it won't be easy. The Commanders' upcoming schedule is brutal. Matchups with division rivals like the Cowboys and Eagles, followed by tough defensive units like the Ravens and 49ers. If Burks gets elevated quickly, he'll be thrown straight into the fire. The pressure will be immense, but that might actually work in his favor. Burks has always been at his best when he's doubted, when expectations are low, when he's got something to prove. Washington will need him to channel that energy, to embrace the grind, and to stay on the field, because that's half the battle right now. There's something poetic about this situation, though. The Commanders are trying to fix one risky decision, bringing back injury-prone players, by making another risky decision, betting on an injury-prone former first-rounder. It's the kind of gamble that could blow up in their faces, or it could turn into one of those sneaky mid-season moves that fans look back on as the turning point. Football history is filled with redemption arcs. Maybe this is Burks' turn. Maybe this is Washington's shot at salvaging what's been a frustrating start to the season. If Burks hits, if he stays healthy, builds chemistry with Daniels, and gives this offense another dimension, the Commanders might just crawl their way back into relevance. If not, well, it'll be another lesson in the cruel unpredictability of the NFL. But for now, there's hope. And in a season that's been defined by injuries, missteps, and disappointment, hope might just be the most valuable thing the Commanders have left. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The atmosphere around the Washington Commanders has been buzzing with a mix of excitement, anticipation, and just a hint of chaos ever since the news broke that Brian Burns is officially joining the squad. And it wasn't just the front office or the hardcore fans who reacted. Even standout players like Allen couldn't hide their enthusiasm. In interviews that have since gone viral across social media, Allen has been practically glowing with excitement, proclaiming that now our defense actually scares people. It's the kind of statement that makes headlines immediately, because in the NFL, talk is cheap. Actions on the field are what count. But when a player of Allen's stature starts speaking like this, you know something big is happening behind the scenes. Rumors have already started circulating in locker rooms, online forums, and inside sources suggest that the vibe in practice sessions has completely shifted since Burns walked in. Coaches are reportedly ecstatic, teammates are reportedly fired up, and fans have taken to social media in droves, painting everything from fiery memes to in-depth breakdowns of how this addition could change the trajectory of the season. And if you listen closely to the subtext of Allen's comments, there's a clear sense that he believes this is more than just another signing. He seems to think that Burns is the missing puzzle piece the Commanders have been searching for. There's been chatter among insiders that defensive meetings have taken on a new intensity, with Allen leading discussions about schemes, pressure packages, and rotations that simply weren't possible before. The sheer presence of a player like Burns on the roster seems to have emboldened the existing core, igniting a confidence that wasn't as palpable during the previous season. Some analysts are cautiously optimistic, but you can sense the tension building in the media whenever a statement like, "Now our defense actually scares people," hits the headlines. There's an implied challenge to the rest of the league, and opponents are already taking notice. There's a sense that this is more than just hype. The kind of momentum that Allen is talking about has a habit of translating into performance, especially when the locker room collectively believes that the team has turned a corner. Rumors suggest that players are already speculating on how Burns will impact key matchups, particularly against some of the top offensive lines in the NFC. It's not just about stats, it's about the psychological edge. Allen's statements have fueled a growing narrative that the Commanders' defense is about to become the kind of unit that quarterbacks hesitate to even glance at before the snap. And social media, of course, has taken this to the extreme. Clips of Allen's interview have racked up millions of views, with fans and pundits alike dissecting every word, every facial expression, every tiny inflection. Some are calling it bravado, others are calling it prophecy. Meanwhile, whispers have started circulating that internal discussions have gone far beyond just on-field strategy. There are murmurs that team culture, leadership roles, and even how players hold each other accountable have been influenced by Burns' arrival. The locker room is reportedly buzzing, and insiders say that Allen has taken it upon himself to mentor Burns through the team's schemes, creating a synergy that could pay dividends in high-stakes games. Meanwhile, speculation is also mounting about how this will affect the Commanders' draft and free agency strategies moving forward. Adding a defensive powerhouse like Burns has ripple effects, not just for the immediate season, but for the long-term architecture of the team. Sports journalists and bloggers are already theorizing about shifts in rotation, play calling, and even how opposing coordinators will have to game plan around a fearsome defensive line that Allen is now publicly declaring to be terrifying. It's the kind of statement that demands attention, because if there's one thing Allen has shown in the past, it's that he doesn't make idle boasts. The NFL is full of bravado, but when a player like Allen talks, people listen. There are whispers that veteran teammates are excited, younger players are motivated, and coaches are quietly smiling at the chemistry that is forming faster than anticipated. Social media continues to fuel the frenzy, with memes depicting a terrorized offense whenever the Commanders hit the field, and discussion threads filled with play-by-play speculation about how Burns' skill set can complement the existing defensive front. The buzz isn't just national. It's local. It's inside the team. It's in every fan forum. And it's even leaking into opposing teams' scouting reports. There's a palpable tension in the air, the kind of electricity that suggests that the NFL world should be paying very close attention to Washington this season. And while nobody can predict exactly how Burns will fit into every single play, the optimism is infectious. Allen's declaration that our defense now actually scares people has set expectations sky high, and that in itself has become a storyline. Rumors are swirling that the team's strategy sessions have become more aggressive, that players are taking more risks, and that the coaching staff is exploring schemes that were previously considered too ambitious. There's a sense that the Commanders are entering a new era, one in which defensive dominance is not just an aspiration, but a declared identity. And in a league where momentum, confidence, and psychological warfare are nearly as important as raw talent, this kind of pronouncement can have real-world consequences on how other teams prepare and react. Analysts are already weighing in, some skeptically, some optimistically, but all acknowledging that the addition of Burns changes the calculus. The excitement doesn't stop with professional commentators either. Fan reactions have ranged from ecstatic to downright theatrical, with online communities theorizing matchups, imagining highlight reels, and even creating unofficial fear indexes to measure how intimidating the new defense could be. Rumors also suggest that behind the scenes, leadership meetings are being subtly reshaped. Allen, known for his intensity and competitiveness, seems to be positioning himself not only as a vocal leader, but also as a mentor figure for Burns, guiding him through the playbook and the team culture. This dynamic could pay enormous dividends in cohesion, communication, and overall defensive performance. The sheer psychological boost of having a feared pass rusher like Burns, combined with Allen's vocal confidence, is creating a feedback loop of energy and expectation that could manifest in ways opponents won't anticipate. From casual observers to diehard strategists, everyone seems to agree on one thing. The Commanders' defense has a new aura, and Allen's words are amplifying that aura far beyond the field. Rumors continue to swirl about the reactions of rival teams, who are reportedly watching closely, studying game film, and reconsidering their offensive strategies in light of this new defensive threat. In short, Allen's excitement has become contagious, spreading through the locker room, the fan base, and even across the league's rumor mill. Whether or not this turns into dominant on-field performance remains to be seen, but the narrative has already taken hold. The Washington Commanders' defense is no longer just another unit. It's a force that is being openly declared as intimidating, aggressive, and capable of striking fear into opposing quarterbacks. With Brian Burns officially on the roster and Allen speaking so emphatically, the speculation is only going to intensify. Every practice, every snap, every defensive rotation will be scrutinized. Every play will be dissected, every matchup will be analyzed, and the storylines will continue to grow as the season approaches. For now, though, all eyes are on the Commanders as rumors, confidence, and anticipation collide, creating a spectacle that promises to make the defense the team's defining feature. Allen's declaration has lit a fuse, the buzz is spreading, and the NFL landscape is watching closely. Whether this hype translates into wins or becomes a cautionary tale of overconfidence, one thing is clear. The arrival of Brian Burns has changed the conversation entirely, and Allen is making sure everyone knows that the Commanders' defense is no longer just a part of the team. It's a statement, a warning, and for the first time in a long while, a real cause for fear. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.